New Japan Pro Wrestling is one of the biggest and most successful wrestling companies in the world. Founded by Antonio Inoki in 1972, it's the longest running promotion in Japan and home to legendary events like Wrestle Kingdom at the Tokyo Dome. But maybe its peak has passed, along with its belt designer. Sorry, cheap shot. The truth is, the company has been in a huge slump financially and creatively over the past 5 years. We're talking about attendance dropping year over year, their biggest stars leaving for AEW and WWE, and a complete roster rebuild that's left longtime fans wondering if New Japan will ever recapture its magic. So how did New Japan Pro Wrestling go from its absolute heights in 2015 to 2020 with names like Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, Tetsuya Naito, Will Ospreay, and the heyday of Bullet Club to what feels like a complete rebuild of its entire roster and business model? How did New Japan arrive at this steep decline, and can they get back to what made them great? Let's talk about it. By the way, you got a favorite New Japan match? Let me know in the comments. So first, let's understand the company's peak. The golden era of New Japan Pro Wrestling from 2015 to 2020 was unlike anything we'd seen from a Japanese promotion since the 1990s wrestling boom. That explosion came from perfect timing and incredible talent. The popularity of Bullet Club brought international attention, while rising stars like Kenny Omega and established aces like Kazuchika Okada and Tanahashi created magic in the ring. Case in point, the Omega vs. Okada match series from 2017 to 2018 is still considered by many to be the greatest wrestling rivalry of all time. Their first match at Wrestle Kingdom 11 received the first 6-star rating from Dave Meltzer in over 20 years. Their 60-minute draw at Dominion 2017 got 6.25 stars, and their final encounter at Dominion 2018 was a 2 out of 3 falls epic that went nearly 65 minutes, receiving an unprecedented 7-star rating. That would be the last time they would lock up until AEW All In Texas. I know some of us don't really care about star ratings, but they made an impact. And the matches banged, yes, certified. But they were also cultural events that brought mainstream attention to New Japan. Wrestle Kingdom 14 in 2020 drew 70,000 fans, just over that, for 2 nights at the Tokyo Dome, representing the absolute peak of New Japan Pro Wrestling's modern era. The company also had international expansion to the US with New Japan Pro Wrestling strong streaming partnerships, and most importantly, a smacking roster. Look at this thing. Okada, Omega, Jay White, Will Ospreay, Tetsuya Naito, Kota Ibushi, representing the future of pro wrestling. That looks good. Then came a major blow. In late 2018 and early 2019, New Japan would lose several of its Gaijin stars when Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Adam Page, and Cody Rhodes left to form All Elite Wrestling. This was devastating, but not fatal. The company still had most of its biggest Japanese stars, Okada, Naito, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, and they'd gained new main event talent in Jay White and Will Ospreay. So, not bad. For a brief time after that, it looked like New Japan could weather the storm. A similar happening in 2016 had them lose Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and the Good Brothers, but they bounced back from that pretty quickly. But in 2019, they had incredible talent, and losing Omega actually opened up new storylines and opportunities for their homegrown stars, which they capitalized on. But all that was just the beginning. The Elite's departure wasn't just about individual wrestlers leaving. They were about New Japan losing its connection to the American wrestling renaissance that had made them globally relevant. Say what you will about the Elite, they helped popularize New Japan in that time period for international audiences in the United States, in the UK, and elsewhere. Then there was an even bigger problem that nobody could have expected. COVID ravaged Japan for years in ways that were a bit different from other countries. While WWE was holding a live WrestleMania 37 with 25,000 fans in April 2021, Japan was still not in a place to run shows like that. The wrestlers performing for New Japan were not able to perform in front of crowds that could actually make noise for a hell of a long time. Japan's COVID restrictions held out longer than most other places around the world. So from March 2020 through much of 2021, New Japan was running shows with no fans or severely limited capacity. But worse than attendance restrictions were the cheering restrictions. Fans literally couldn't make noise. Imagine trying to build an atmosphere and emotion when your audience has to sit in complete silence watching you. Terrible. This destroyed the unique atmosphere that made New Japan special. The electric reactions to big moves and stories, the communal experience of over 40,000 fans at the Tokyo Dome, all that was gone. Wrestle Kingdom 15 in 2021 barely reached 20,500 fans over 2 nights, which is less than a third of what they'd drawn in 1 year earlier. The pandemic wasn't just affecting business metrics. It was killing the very soul of New Japan's shows. And then the hits started coming in rapid succession. With parent company Bushiroad in financial distress over the pandemic, New Japan Pro Wrestling couldn't pay talent what it once could. But there was a more lucrative alternative waiting for them just across the Pacific. The likes of Jay White, Will Ospreay, and eventually Kazuchika Okada would make their way to AEW to work on American soil and make significantly more money. New Japan star Great-O-Khan, speaking candidly about the departures, said, "To be honest, I think the problem with this relationship is that New Japan doesn't have the financial resources. There's no doubt that the high contract fees were the main reason for wrestlers leaving." He's referring to the partnership between New Japan and AEW, which is still going on, and some people feel it's a little one-sided. When Bushiroad owner Takaki Kidani was asked about losing Okada, he also admitted, quote, "I can only say that I had no choice. As I have said many times, if I were in the same position, I would have done the same thing." Think about that. The owner of New Japan Pro Wrestling's parent company essentially admitted that he couldn't compete financially with AEW. When the face of your company for over a decade leaves and you publicly say that you, quote, "had no choice," that is straight up defeat. The result of all that put New Japan at an all-time low. Wrestle Kingdom attendance dropped from that 70,000 plus peak to just 24,000 about in 2025. And it was on a single night that drew less than half of what they used to do over 2 nights. And let's talk about the roster. The roster right now, although full of talent, isn't generating that mass appeal that the company once had. The company's trying to build up young stars like Shota Umino, Yota Tsuji, Yuya Uemura, Ryohei Oiwa, and Ren Narita, but none of them seem to have found that it factor yet. None of them have been able to captivate an audience like the previous guard could. Case in point here, New Japan had Konosuke Takeshita, a wrestler they share with AEW, win the coveted G1 Climax tournament this year. Despite being an incredibly talented performer, I think we can all agree on that, the Japanese audience didn't love seeing a, quote, outsider who splits time between promotions winning their most prestigious tournament. And I think I can understand that. By the way, excluding the pandemic, this year's G1 had the lowest attendance of the tournament in 10 years. The tournament averaged just 2,267 attendees per event and totaled 43,078 fans across 19 events. That's down 12% from the previous year. To bring in yet another statement from Depression correspondent Bushiroad CEO Takaki Kidani, he's also admitted that New Japan has, quote, lost appeal, especially among foreign audiences, while other sports like basketball and volleyball are gaining ground. He acknowledged this as a growing pain, but the trends are undeniably downward. And to make things even worse, the departure of Tetsuya Naito, who left after frustrating contract negotiations, hasn't helped the situation at all. With Hiroshi Tanahashi set to retire from in-ring action this year, the company is facing a complete changing of the guard, with very little gas in the tank. So where does our beloved New Japan Pro Wrestling go from here? There are some promising signs. Young talent like Yota Tsuji and Shota Umino are improving, and the company has maintained partnerships with AEW and other promotions that keep them internationally relevant. And events like Forbidden Door probably helped them a little bit, but the harsh reality is that New Japan is no longer the alternative to WWE that it once was. AEW has pretty much taken their position, and they've done it partly by signing New Japan's biggest stars with Tony Khan money that Bushiroad CEO, our Lord of Depression, can't even match. New Japan's decline isn't just about money though. It's about losing their identity as a place where the best wrestlers in the world went to have the best matches in the world. When your biggest stars are leaving for American promotions and your biggest tournaments are being won by part-time wrestlers from other companies, you unfortunately are not a standard bearer anymore. The company needs more than just new stars though. They need a new vision for what New Japan Pro Wrestling represents in a wrestling landscape that's completely changed since their golden era ended. So can New Japan Ava rebuild and give us more huge matches and memories like Omega Okada Classics? Possibly. But it's going to take a fundamental reimagining of what New Japan Pro Wrestling is supposed to be in 2025 and beyond. The age of New Japan as wrestling's premier destination might be over for now. But hopefully they can find a new identity that honors their incredible legacy while building something sustainable for the future. And bring back the last IWGP title. The current belt's kind of silly. Sorry. Cheap shot. Cheap shot. So what do you think, brother? Can New Japan return to their golden era heights, or is this just a natural evolution of the wrestling landscape? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to smash that
Oooo Chavo!